Well, hello. I was waiting for the thing to pop up, and it didn't pop up this time. It went through the way it's supposed to. Anyway, the title for the video today is Separation of Religion from Politics. Separation is the biggest lie ever foisted on the human race. In creation, nothing is separate. Everything is interconnected. There is a singular web of life. That is truth. Those who have raped the world do not want us to see or understand. Demonic elements working through the cabal and control freak egomaniacs have deceived humanity for eons. Sorry about that. They have pushed the idea that God is separate, and even worse, that they are gods. Do you like the world as it is? Is it fair? Is it honest? If not, why not? And I lost my place. Why would a loving God create a world like we have known? Maybe He did not create it this way. Maybe she simply allowed us to play in the delusion. It's not a very nice game, is it? Until we recognize and accept the fact that everything is interconnected, we will keep suffering the consequences of the big lie. Who benefits from that lie? Ultimately, no one. Have we gone far enough down the slippery slope to give up the biggest lie of all? Indeed, this is a question that has plagued me. I actually wrote that blurb, yesterday morning. But this is a question, the separation question, that has baffled me for a long time. Now, I watched a video with Dr. what's his name last night, the guy that died last year. Big famous speaker, and right now I'm absolutely drawing a blank on his name, but everybody's heard of him. He's internationally known and recognized speaker, Dr. something, and he's been on Oprah, and he's been on a whole bunch of media. He's famous. He's a famous man, and has 8 children. I remember a whole lot of stuff about him, and for some reason, his name escapes me. But I went to a meeting last night where they showed one of his videos, and it really gave me pause. I mean, he's a proponent of the new thought spirituality, that everything is interconnected, that there is no separation, that it's all one. And, I was thinking about that. In fact, I didn't really get to sleep. I mean, I might have dozed off a little bit just before I started this video, believe it or not. I was still awake going on 11:30, and I hadn't been to sleep yet. And so I barely got any sleep, but I did doze off just before it was time to click on the camera and start this video. And it's funny because I would have remembered his name. But anyway, that's all an aside. Wayne Dyer. Of course, that's who it was. And now it comes to me. But he was saying that there is no separation, that it's all interconnected. And yes, that's true. That's what this blurb is about, that separation is the biggest lie. It is all interconnected, yet it appears not only separate, but dipolar opposites. I mean, everything is in extremes and seemingly at war. Now, he went on to say, and I agree with him, that the war that we see in the world is the war that's within us. I agree with that. That's true. It is the war that's within us, because we don't find the unity within ourselves, and therefore we're at war with ourselves, and we manifest that in what we create the world to be. Nevertheless, I believe we have to go and start where we are, not where we would like it to be. I'd like to see a world that's unified. That's not the world that we live in. Nice idea, nice concept. Why I went along with the New Thought religions for as long as I did. I like the idea of unity. I like the idea of oneness. But again, that's not the world that I live in. It's not the world that you live in. People lose our lives, lose our possessions, lose everything. Living in the present world, we keep losing. It's not a win-win situation. And we have to get back to the interconnectedness of life. The only way that I can see that we do that is if we recognize where we are. You can't start from where you would like to be or where you imagine we're going. You can only start from the here and now. Now that makes perfect sense to me. It's illogical to believe it could be any other way. And yet, people do a lot of imagining that it is another way than what we actually see. And therefore they don't deal with the issues that we actually face. It's a wonderful thing, and I highly am supportive of going inside and finding that place that Dr. Dyer talked about, that place within where everything is one. He quoted Emerson, and he quoted some of the great thinkers of the 19th century that came out of New England. And the lecture he gave was in right near where the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired at the church. Can't remember the name of it, but the church has been rebuilt. But that same church existed back in the 19th century, and he talked about who the pastor of that church was, or actually the 18th century, because it was when the Revolutionary War started. Folks, we have to look at the world where it is. We have to honestly look at ourselves. I have questioned when things went awry in my own life. I began questioning everything. I don't know what truth is anymore sometimes because I feel so disappointed and so let down. But I've always believed that there is a God, that God created us, that God lives in and through us and all of creation. I hold that as a self-evident truth. I don't buy the atheism. I don't buy a lot of the spirituality that says there is no God. But we have to unify the whole field. We've got to unify and bring spirituality back into politics. The spirituality of truth, the spirituality of justice, the spirituality of freedom for all. We've got to stop the cabal. We've got to stop thinking that has allowed the cabal to not only exist, but apparently to thrive. I do believe, based on lots of observations, that things do seem to be cracking in the structure and coming apart at the seams. I hope that's true. And we have to stop supporting what doesn't work. And the current system, we have to admit to ourselves, doesn't work. It's a failure. Anyway, I hope this made some sense because I feel a little discombobulated